Can a simple change in your thoughts radically shift your flow of money in your life and hopefully in your business? Hey, it's Melanie Benson here, America's leading small business optimizer, and this is a weekly series all about the little changes that make a huge difference in your life and in your business. And I believe that when you do a few things really well and you learn how to master the process of optimizing, not just in your business, but in your life, you can actually start to thrive. You can actually start to experience that exponential impact and the revenues that come with it. So I want to bring someone in today that I think is going to give us some great insight into optimizing our mindset, optimizing that inner game that I think, and I think Dana and I would both agree with this, has such a huge impact on your ability to achieve what I would consider automatic success, the ability to automatically pull in the things that you say that you want. So let me give you just a little bit of background on Dana, and then we'll jump in and get into the optimizing sequence here. So our guest is Dana Wilde. Now, Dana Wilde is the author of Train Your Brain and has grown 2 businesses in record time. And she's here to tell you that you don't need a new system. You don't need to add more work to grow your business quickly. Hallelujah, woohoo! You just need to know how to train your brain more effectively. A unique and proven training method for small business professionals. Dana has inspired thousands to train their brains, and today she is going to reveal some of those insights as well as her journey around discovering the power of training your brain and what it can mean for you as you look for ways to turn up the power, turn up the impact that you're having in the world. So, and Dana can be found at danawilde.com. So Dana, I'm so glad you could come join me on the episode this week.
Hi, Melanie. Thanks for having me. And I couldn't agree more. I love your message about really, it's just those little small optimizations that make all the difference. You're so right.
Yeah, and you know, I found that a lot of people, they try to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They're trying to start all over. They're constantly creating new things. But if you have something that's working a little bit, you owe it to yourself to figure out that tweak and refine it and see if you can power it up before you start all over. Because in my experience, and you probably have had your own experiences with this, creating new, starting over is 10 times more difficult. It's 100 times less profitable, and it's exhausting. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, many of us are addicted to that process. So
yeah.
Let's get into a little bit why you decided that building a business around training your brain was going to be the direction for you, because I'm sure, and we've talked about your history a little bit, there's a million things that you're good at. Why this one?
Well, Train Your Brain started with my last business. I was in a direct sales business, and what happened was I got into that business and I realized that everybody was training how to. You know, how to pick up the phone, how to network, all of this kind of work more training. And I realized, well, nobody is really tapping into the only thing that really matters to grow quickly and be successful, and that is training your brain. And so after I sold that business, I kind of thought that was going to be the end of it. I had done some workshops and I was going to semi-retire and like go to India and sit in an ashram or something, and then I kept getting these requests for Train Your Brain, and so it kind of just started to snowball and have a life of its own. And now, of course, try to shut me up about it, you know. I'm just totally passionate about talking about it all the time.
Yeah, well, when you find something that works, you want to do it more, and it sounds like that's what happened.
It's fun. Yeah, and it's fun, and it's like you can, you know, see people get it. They're getting it, that it really is about how you think. That's how you get successful.
And well, and let's just get everybody up to speed, because you and I have the advantage that we know about this work. But what does it mean to train your brain? Let's give people a little bit of like a background about what that means.
Sure. Basically, and I'll give you a couple of short sentences that people will be real familiar with. Many people have heard, in order to be rich, you have to think like a rich person, or that, you know, what you focus on grows, and all of those types of sentences. And what we figured we figured out how to train that. So you can actually train people to think differently. You can actually train people to have more positive thoughts. And so then what happens is, instead of taking action from a place where you're frustrated or you're trying to make something happen, I'm just going to go out there and make something happen. We implement instead what we call intentional action, which is you get feeling good, you get that momentum going, you get that positive mindset going. Then any action you take, it doesn't matter what you do, it turns to gold and it's effective.
Yeah, I love this work. And I'll just share a little bit about my own journey because it might, I think, kind of set the tone for why I really believe this is such an important part of optimizing for success. And that is, I spent many years thinking I was doing all the right things, but working harder and putting more time and energy into the externals, wondering why I wasn't any happier, wondering why it wasn't, turning up the power, wondering why everybody else was getting ahead and I felt behind. And I think that's a really common experience that so many small business owners and entrepreneurs and service-based professionals, they struggle, and indirect marketers, they struggle with the, how do I get further? How do I get more? How do I achieve more? How do I make a greater impact without having to work harder? So, if we were to kind of set the stage, if you will, of what are some of the things that a business owner might be struggling with that could be a sign that it's time to turn to the training your brain side of success.
Yeah, that's great. And by the way, that's a perfect example, Melanie, because I think that's exactly how a lot of business owners feel. They thought it was going to happen faster. And these are some of the signs to look for. You think you're doing everything right, but none of it seems to work. You hear about the next new shiny object and you think that's going to be the one that's going to be it. You're implementing a lot of things, but you don't feel like you're gaining any traction. And so what happens is, what we found with Train Your Brain is that if you've got your mindset on board and continually, in a positive direction and heading in the direction of your dreams and thinking positively and expecting good results, then what happens is the action you take, no matter what that action is, any method, any shiny object, whatever it is, it works better and it works faster. And so you in your story, you really set it up perfectly. If you're having these feelings like, I kind of thought this was going to go faster, or I thought this was going to be easier, then you're ready to train your brain.
And I don't know one entrepreneur that hasn't said one of those things at least, because that's what we do. We're driven to achieve more. And I think many of us, especially if we're impact focused and we know that we have something deep inside of us that's a message or a way of being of service to the world, we're driven even more to get it out in a bigger way. So training your brain is ultimately a way to teach your brain to focus on the right things, to focus in a way that eliminates the self-sabotaging pieces, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what happens is, and you're so right, entrepreneurs, just by definition, we're ambitious and we're driven and I think as a species, we're curious. I know myself too. I have to continually hold myself back from like, oh my gosh, I want to do this and this and this. And how do you deal with it all? It's so easy to get overwhelmed because there's so much. It's just ingrained in us. That's what also made us start our businesses, but I think the ticket with training your brain is to just understand that if you think, let me give you an analogy or a story. Many times in business, when entrepreneurs first come in, or people in the direct sales industry, we have a term for it. People come in, they start their business, they're really excited, and they're so excited and they're so enthusiastic that everything they touch turns to gold, and people are looking at them like, how come they're having so much success? They don't even know what they're doing, but they're doing it with such enthusiasm. We call it ignorance on fire in the direct sales industry. They have no clue what they're doing, but they're doing it with such enthusiasm. They're having success. And many of us start that way, but we start to get overwhelmed and beaten down, and we lose that initial enthusiasm. And so that's really what this is about. This is about regaining that authentic, feel-good place, so that if you're continually feeling good, your brain is more resourceful, because when you're frustrated or overwhelmed, you automatically shut down passageways in your brain that give you opportunities and ideas that are effective for you. And when you can keep yourself in that good feeling place, then you open up those pathways, and suddenly you get the genius idea, or you take the action that's effective. And so it's really simple. I mean, Sometimes I wish it was more complicated, like a 27, step program that, would be like, I could give you a 27-week course on this, but really, it's really that simple. Feel good first, then take action.
Okay, we brought up a couple things that I want to dig into before I move on because I think this is such a big topic, and I have found that when I have learned how to do this part of the inner work, everything on the outside works better. But I think there's a really common kind of ingrained challenge that many entrepreneurs have. And you were bringing up that feel good part, and we were bringing up, entrepreneurs are very self, obsessed, or that we're driven for more success. And inside of that, I think we tend to doubt ourselves more. We tend to take our failures or things that don't work really personally. And it's really easy to go into a deep dive. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why, I created my program Money DNA Mastery was because 90% of the people that were stuck in getting results through my strategy and optimization courses was because their mind was all messed up and their brain was like going into these spirals. So, let's say you're in that spiral. Let's say you're in that place that it's really dark and gloomy and you just had another really exciting project hit the wall and crash and crumble and burn up without getting any results. Well, let's maybe talk about a way that you could use this brain training to get through that more powerfully.
Yes, yes, I can help with that. One of the things that we do in Train Your Brain, one of the tools we use is called the emotional scale. And I'll go through it really briefly just to give you an idea. And if you want more, let me know. But the emotional scale has 8 levels. And it starts out, depression or despair. And then you move up into, fear or worry. And then anger. And then frustration, overwhelmment. Then you get to hope, and then belief, and then positive expectation or knowing, and then finally like appreciation or joy. And what we use this tool for, this is one of the tools that we use to help move people so that they can get to a positive place. Because one of the things I think where the positive thinking movement has fallen down in the past or has maybe not been as effective is that there was kind of one method and one method only. And the method was to say an affirmation using perfect language, Stuart Smalley style, just be like, I am abundant, I am wealthy, yeah, I'm a millionaire. And those were like our only choices. And one of the things we're doing with Train Your Brain is we're trying to teach people more and more that it's okay to be in those negative places on the scale. And it's okay to have those experiences because it's all part of the process of getting to the positive places. The only difference is you don't have to stay there. So it's not like, several times a week, I don't get angry at my computer. I have technology failures. I have things that go wrong that frustrate me and overwhelm me. But the reason we named the company The Mind Aware is because what you get better and better at is you get better at being aware of where you're at and trying to make a decision of, do I want to continue to act from this place, or do I want to move along that emotional scale and move up into hope and belief and positive expectation? So Train Your Brain isn't so much about walking around blissed out every day. It's more about being more aware of your reactions and making choices about, is this really where I want to be building my business from? Do I want to be building my business from a place of frustration or overwhelmment or anger? I of course I'm going to experience those feelings, but do I want to stay here? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I love that you brought this up because it's very real that each and every one of us, probably on a daily, maybe weekly, or at least monthly basis, we are going to get faced with life challenges. And I always say, yes, you can choose to pitch a tent there and camp out and live there, or you can just pass through on your nice little walk and you can say, oh, that was uncomfortable. Now how do I get back to where I want to go? And that scale is beautiful because it gives us a real tool that we can use around training our brain.
Yeah, it's great terminology. I love that picture tent. That is a crack up. I love that.
You can borrow it.
It is. It's so good. I'll credit you. It's classic, but it's true. It's true. The only thing we really have control over is our reaction. And one of the things when you what we try to do is show people how the brain works so that you don't have to change the way your brain is already working for you. You know, your brain is not out there sabotaging you. Your brain is not out there, you know, like some mugger from behind a tree waiting to jump out and, you know, make sure that you fail. What's happening instead is that there are just ways to optimize, optimize how
Yeah.
you use your brain. You know, there are
Yeah.
ways to use what your brain is already doing and use it more effectively.
I
And
love
once you
that.
figure it out, it's like, oh my gosh, the whole world opens up, right?
Well, let's talk a little bit about how you got where you are now, because this sounds great. We both know it works really well. We both know you're helping millions of people, some of which happen to be people I know. But, you know, I'm sure it wasn't always this way for you. And I'm wondering if there was maybe a time when you felt really challenged as an entrepreneur, and maybe helping us see your own challenges can help other people see how powerful this can work.
Right, right. I love that question. And I'll tell you, I get asked that a lot. And it's a bit of a challenging question for me. And I'll tell you why. When you get really good at training your brain, what happens is you tend to any setback or any challenge you have, you focus on it for such a short amount of time that you don't really, I don't really retain it or
Right.
store it in my long-term memory. However, having said that, because I get asked this all the time, so I always have to come up with an answer, right? Because everybody wants you to be a real person, don't they? They're like, oh, please tell us you have struggles too. So, so, so I haven't given this a lot of thought. I'll tell you something, if I had to do it over again, that I would do, and I think everybody else should really pay attention and step up and do this too. Whether it was my direct sales business or even now at the Mind Aware, I think one of the challenges I've had is really stepping up into that leadership role. I have continually kind of always been like, oh, this is fun and I'm doing this and do you want to do it too, and let's do it together, kind of a person, and let's just all go and play, you know, let's go play together. It's so fun. But I think it's been important for me as part of my growth process to really own that leadership role and own the that I am responsible for my team or my business or the vision or the direction, and really see myself as the leader and as the knowledgeable one, and that people will want what I have. And so for everybody who is listening to this and, you know, who has a business, it's if you're raised the same way I was in this culture and with that kind of idea that, oh, humility and all this type of thing, really take a look at that. I really challenge you to just take a look and stand up and be willing to say, you know, world, hear me roar, I've got something to say, and be that person, because people need to hear what you've got to say. So does that make sense?
Ah, totally. And again, I think you've really hit the nail on the head for a lot of entrepreneurs who, when you're passionate about what you do and you're building a business around like a gift or your message or something that you have developed, you want to do more of that. And so the being a leader is a very different skill. And you said earlier, you called that term ignorance on
Ignorance
fire.
of fire, yeah.
Well, you know, that for most people is how we get into business. We're totally ignorant. If I had any idea what it would be like to run my own business, I probably would have stayed in my safe little corporate container. And it's
In the
like,
cubicle.
I'll take my $80,000 a year paycheck. This is way easier. You know, it's like, even though those challenges felt so much bigger. But, you know, when we get past the ignorance stage and we realize what it takes, I think becomes a very real choice point of, can you get to the next level of success with the same strategies that got you where you are now? And the answer is no. We can't continue out of that ignorant, you know, fire. And the fire starts to dim because we realize, like, holy moly, I think I finally understand what this is going to be like. And so we have to upgrade our strategies. And that's why I do the optimization series, because we are doing some things right, but a lot of things have to get more streamlined. They have to get more synthesized. And, you know, leadership is one of them.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have to learn to
I
lead.
think, and I think at the core, it kind of has to do with really believing in yourself too, and be willing to, you know, because there is that part. It's like that Marianne Williamson quote. There is that kind of idea of, well, you know, who am I to be telling everybody else what to do or what to think or what to buy or what works or whatever your message is.
Yeah.
And in order to be successful, I really think if I had to do it over again, I would have kind of trained my brain to take that step a little quicker. I would have really been a little bit more willing to step up a little bit faster than I did.
So would you be willing to share a technique or a strategy that's helped you make that shift into being a leader?
Absolutely. This is the easiest technique that everybody can apply right now. And what it is it's the good old-fashioned mantra. And in the old days, people would always do a mantra, and it would have to be what I call perfect language, something that may or may not be believable, like I'm wealthy or I'm abundant. And what we found with Train Your Brain is that it's much better to say kind of a generic, feel-good mantra that makes you feel good and keeps you moving than to say something that you aren't going to believe or that you're going to argue with yourself in your head. And so if everybody right now would just start saying something in the back of their mind like everything is going my way. That's actually one of my favorites. Everything's going my way. Everything's unfolding perfectly. Everything is going my way. Everything's going my way. Things are great. Everything's going my way. Today is great. Everything's going my way. If you start doing that immediately, right after this interview, I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind how fast you're going to get results and how easy it is to start seeing that everything is going your way. And so really, that's one of my favorites because it's so simple. You can do it right now and you will see the results quickly. And then once you kind of get it like, oh my gosh, this really works. I do feel better and I am seeing that everything's going my way. Stuff is coming to me. Then you can start tweaking it and you can start changing it to whatever you want and do some of the more advanced brain training.
That's great. I love that. I'm going to write that one down because I can see as you're shifting into being a leader and you're feeling like a lot of things aren't going your way, or whatever stage you are in your own, expression of your business, that mantra could be really valuable. Here's one that I've been playing with for the last 2 years, and I've noticed that it at different times it's really like shifted me, and that is, everything happens with peace, ease, and grace.
Oh, yeah, man, you can just feel how good that is,
Yeah,
can't
especially
you?
when
I
the overwhelm's
love
really
that.
up. Yeah. And by the way, we teach this stuff, but you said this before, we're not immune. It's like I didn't like get this perfect little box to live in. I mean, it's like I deal with the same things everybody else does. But I love that we're talking about today is like it's all about what you choose to do with your mind and the habits that you form around doing things so that it's more effective and more optimized for the results you want.
Yeah, exactly. The negative thinking about ourselves or about our situations or the life circumstances that happen, all of those things continue to happen just like they always have. The only difference is we get quicker. We get
Yes.
quicker at catching them and quicker. And one of the phrases I love to use that again everybody is welcome to is um, we have a little thing in our brain called a little matchmaker, reticular activating system, and it's matching up the world for us all day, every day. And so when I have those experiences or those emotions or I catch myself thinking those negative thoughts, I just ask myself, is this the message I want to match? Is this what I want to match up in the world?
Yeah.
Because whether you like it or not, your brain's working perfectly and it's working on your behalf. And so make sure that you're matching up the good stuff, match what you want to match, right?
I like that you brought that up. I was hoping you'd talk about that because that's the science behind why this works. Because sometimes I think people might go into that's just a bunch of hooey and, that's that law of attraction stuff. But, when we understand there's actually science, there is
Yeah.
actually reality behind what we're talking about today. And you understand that it's working, whether you want to believe it or not.
Oh,
It
that's it.
yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah, that's the whole, I mean, that's what Train Your Brain is. That's the whole program is we explain exactly how your brain works so that even, you can't even be a skeptic because it's how your brain works. And once you figure that out, the light bulb goes on. It did for me too when I learned it. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so simple when just like learning how your heart works or how your kidneys work or how anything works. Once you know how it works, you can start to use it more effectively, right?
Yeah, and so I was actually going to ask you if there was a game-changing moment in your life that helped you become more powerful as an entrepreneur. Would you say that discovering how your brain works is it, or would there be something that was even a bigger game-changing moment for you?
No, that was definitely it. When I was 19 years old, I was working in one of these cubicle jobs for AT&T. Bless their heart, I want to give them a shout out because they stuck me through a 40-hour intensive about how the brain works by a man named Lou
Oh,
Tice.
okay.
And Lou Tice was from the Seattle area. He's passed now, but it was it changed everything, not just in the way I thought about money and my business life. And of course, poor AT&T, I immediately quit.
That's kind of what happened to me too. Knowledge is power.
Right, but it was a game changer because now suddenly you realize like, oh my gosh, the world's an adventure, and isn't it so great that we're here together to be on this journey and this ride together? And suddenly now it feels like everything's your little play area, Does that make sense?
Yeah. How long before that moment and when you decided to actually make your business aware, I'm
The
sorry,
mind aware.
mind
Oh,
aware?
long time, like, oh gosh, let me think, 20 years, more than that. I actually went overseas and went on a big adventure, literally wrote books, backpacked all over the world, did all this stuff before I came back to the United States and then started the two businesses that led me here.
Interesting. Such a circuitous route that many of us travel, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And it is a great adventure. I mean, we're so lucky that there's always something new that we can jump into and do.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, creative entrepreneurs. So, how about a favorite mantra, quote, or maybe even some coaching advice that you received somewhere along the way that, you turn to help you stay positive and focused?
Okay, so well, of course, I would love to give you a mantra, and I'll give you another one that I really love, and it's compliments of T. Harv Eker, but I'll wait. And first, what I'll do is I'll give some practical advice because I
Okay.
learned this somewhere along the way, and it's helped me in everything. Anytime you've got a fear about doing something, whether it's a fear of approaching somebody or a fear of picking up the phone or whatever your fear is, state your fear first. And I'm pretty sure that I got that originally from Jack Canfield, so I want to credit him appropriately. But what you do is you basically just have that be the first thing out of your mouth. If you're nervous about picking up the phone, pick up the phone and state your fear first. Like, hi, Mary, this is Dana, and I always feel so crazy, dumb, stupid, silly, fill in the blank, whatever, nervous making these phone calls because I'm afraid I'm interrupting your dinner or because I'm afraid I look like a pushy salesperson. But, and then finish. If you approach somebody about your business or you're talking to somebody, just say, I feel really weird approaching you because I'm afraid I'm going to look pushy, but yada yada. State that fear first. I'm telling you, it'll just relieve your tension so much. The person you'll have either full attention because they'll just be like, oh, well, of course you're not bugging me or you're not pushy. And now suddenly it makes it so easy to approach people about things. And then the mantra I love that I'll leave you with from T. Harv Eker, it's one of my favorites. I use it all the time, and we have so many testimonials about this mantra, it'll blow your mind. It's, I'm a money magnet.
Yeah.
If you could start saying, I'm a money magnet right now, you will
I'm a money
laugh.
magnet.
Yeah, it's so true. You'll laugh at just like the unexpected checks that start coming to you, and you'll start seeing money coming everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
have some fun with that.
Yeah, sometimes I find checks like come in like I don't even know where they're coming from, or I don't even remember. I literally I get a check every month and I don't know who it's from.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay,
That's so good.
thank you.
Yeah, so unexpected checks are always fun.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm just kind of curious, what happens for you? Like, actually, I want to actually ask you a different question. How do you remember to use the right mantras? Because I think this is another big one for people, and you're really big on mantras like I am, but how do you like remember to do that? Because I know there's a lot of people, they kind of forget to do the things that could have a real shifting energy for them.
Yes, well, we do have several cheats, but a couple of them that are really easy to implement right now. One of them is putting Post-it notes up. You can just, because first of all, they're easy to remove, they're easy to put up, so you can put your Post-it notes up on your car dash here, there, and eventually you'll stop, quote unquote, seeing them, but it's okay because your brain still sees them. And then the other one that I just love is set a reminder on your phone. Have it go off several times a day. And again, when you first get it, you're so good about going, oh, now I'm going to take 60 seconds and say my mantra. And after that, it starts to go off and you go, oh yeah, mantra. But remember, your brain's still getting it. So just little things that you can do to interrupt your day make such a huge difference.
Yeah. I do. I have not set a reminder on my phone. That's a great one. I actually have a vision board sitting right behind my computer with visuals, and I have some of my key mantras, like be bold, and I have something about the peace, grace, and effortlessness, and so I do have that. And I build little picture mantras when I'm wanting to shift into the next level of something, like if I'm working on leadership or really working on owning a genius factor and making my life more fulfilled around that. Like I'll build a little picture mantra with the mantra in the middle and then the images that help me remember to be that. And I'll put it right next to my phone or, wherever I happen to come up.
Good. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
I find
That
that
gives me
visual.
goosebumps,
Yeah.
Melanie. I love that.
I need the visual with the rest of it. And, one of the
Yes.
things that I think that is the piece of the optimization that we have to remember is that there's a million things out there that we can do. You need to find the thing that you're committed to doing well and to do consistently. And what you're teaching us and what you're about with the Train Your Brain is something that really is quite simple. You just have to commit to doing it and to not, to recognize when you're letting your brain take off on you and not necessarily let yourself go down that spiraling into the well, into the darkness, and to really make the commitment that you're going to pick something and master that process for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's one of the reasons with Train Your Brain, there are 20 mindware experiments, and what we really wanted to do was make them so simple to implement that you
Hmm.
didn't even have to take any extra time out of your day to do it. It lives in your brain. When you read it, you learn about it, and you learn how to do those mindware experiments. And that's the ticket. How can we make it easier, you know?
Yeah, easy's good. I love easy. Simple,
Yes,
easy, feeling effortless. That's what makes it a habit you can keep.
that's my favorite.
So, Dana, what's next for you? What are you on fire about?
Well, what I'm on fire about right now is that Train Your Brain, the book is out, and
Mhm.
we're really just seeing it. It went to number 28 on all of Amazon.com. So
Nice.
we're so excited about that and really just doing more promotion about the book. So that's our latest like ignorance on fire thing. We're
That's
just
cool.
shouting it from the rooftops.
That's great. I love it. So when you put a book out, what do is it just going on tour? But how are you going to optimize your book?
I'm going to do things like this, Melanie. Thank you for giving me an
Woohoo!
opportunity to talk about it because really we just want to get out and we want to talk to as many people as we can about it because it's a really easy entry point to get in. You can get it on Kindle or a soft cover, but it's a really easy, reasonable entry point. And we also actually have a free entry point that we'd love to share with you if you
Yeah,
like.
please.
If you like, you can go to, instead of going straight to danawilde.com, go to danawilde.biz with the B-I-Z, and there's 2 video free training there that you can take, and it'll give you everything you need to know about Train Your Brain for my favorite price, nothing.
Zero. The
Zero.
price is putting it into action. Okay, there's
Yeah,
nothing free. You want to put it in action.
on the nose, very good. I'm going to borrow that one too. That's good.
Well, here's the thing. I love that there are tools out there like this that people can access for free. But knowledge has no power unless you implement what you've learned. So I want to encourage you to implement today. As a matter of fact, I'd love to hear what's an aha, what's something that you're taking away from today. What Dana's shared is some very powerful tools and resources. And, again, I highly suggest you get her videos at danawilde.biz. But tell us, right in the comments below, how are you training your brain? Are you training your brain for the things you want? And here's the clue, if you're not experiencing the life and the success and the financial flow you want, it might not be getting trained properly. Or are you training it to really be wildly successful and to thrive and to have the experience that you want on this planet? And so tell us. And we'd love to hear, what are you taking away from today's interview? So Dana, any parting wisdom or thoughts you'd like to share with our listener today?
But just to reiterate, just go out and feel good and have fun with this because if you can keep yourself feeling good and not even bliss, just hopeful, then your brain gets more resourceful and suddenly everything opens up.
That is the key too. Moving from feeling dismal to feeling hopeful makes you have more possibilities. You can see things you can't see otherwise. So, Dana Wilde, you are so amazing. I just adore you, and you are such an amazing catalyst for people all over the world to have more happiness, have more success, and to have more of that prosperity they're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Right back at you, Melanie. Thank
All
you.
right, bye everyone. We'll see you next week for
Bye.
another powerful
Mwah.
episode. Awesome, I love it. All right, bye everyone.